Slide, please. Hello again, and welcome to our webinar for today. Assistive technology for students with mental health conditions in post-secondary education settings. This session is tools for eliminating barriers and optimizing success. This webinar is sponsored by the Northeast and Caribbean Mental Health Technology Transfer Center, or MHTTC, and we're housed at Rutgers in the School of Health Professions in the Department of Psychiatric Rehabilitation and Counseling Professions. My name is Kati, and I'm the project coordinator here at the center, and I'll be introducing our webinar speaker and presenters today. The MHTTC is funded by SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, to enhance the capacity of the behavioral health workforce and to deliver evidence-based and promising practices to individuals with mental health conditions. We offer training programs in evidence-based practices for serious mental health conditions, wellness and recovery, school mental health, Hispanic and Latinx mental health education. And we also offer a variety of online education courses on wellness, IMR, functional thinking, and more. And if you're interested in staying up to date with the events and products that the Northeast and Caribbean MHTTC is providing, we invite you to please sign up to receive our email communications. You may do so by scanning the QR code that you see on your screen. Next slide, please. Following this webinar, you'll be asked to complete a brief survey. We value this feedback and use it to improve our activities and inform our future training events and programs. These surveys are also important because our continued funding is linked to them, so we thank you in advance for your participation. Next slide, please. This webinar for today is going to be held on Zoom meeting format, but we are recording, so we ask that you please be mindful of your microphone as well as your video capabilities. This webinar, it will be recorded and will be posted on our website within 7 days of the webinar broadcast. At the time of this presentation, Marian Delphin Rittman served as Acting Assistant Secretary for Mental Health and Substance Use at SAMHSA. The opinions expressed herein are the views of the speakers and do not reflect the official position of the Department of Health and Human Services or SAMHSA. No official support or endorsement of DHHS or SAMHSA for the opinions described in this presentation is intended or should be inferred. We encourage you today to interact with our presenter by using the chat feature. Please post any comments or questions you have in the chat, and we'll collect your questions and go and as we go and ask of the presenter during the Q&A time towards the end of the presentation. During this webinar, our presenters may pose questions to you, so please feel free to use the chat feature to answer them. We also wanted to let you know of the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline for people who are experiencing suicidal ideation, mental health substance use crisis intervention, emotional distress, or if they are concerned about someone in crisis. The MHTTC network is committed to using affirming, respectful, and recovery-oriented language in all of its training events, activities, and products. Next, please. Now let's begin our webinar. We have Amy Banco and Joni Dolce with us today. Amy Banco is a lecturer in the Department of Psychiatric Rehabilitation and Counseling Professions at Rutgers University. In addition to providing course instruction, Ms. Banco is a trainer and consultant at the IEI Integrated Employment Institute of Rutgers. Within this role, she facilitates trauma-informed, supported employment, and supported education training and technical assistance to enhance practitioner competencies and program outcomes. She is a co-developer of the first mobile outreach supported education program in New Jersey and has amassed over 15 years of experience in the implementation, supervision, and evaluation of SCD and SC courses. Previously, Ms. Banco was a clinical contributor on 3 NIDILRR funded studies focused on post-secondary education and employment for individuals with mental health conditions. Additionally, Ms. Banco is a co-author of a best practice manual for providing supported education to transition-age youth and young adults with mental health conditions. She serves as co-investigator on 2 federally funded studies on post-secondary education, supported education implementation, mental health conditions, and trauma. She uses her lived experience of a mental health condition to inform her roles as an instructor, scholar, and clinician. We also have with us Joni Dolce. Joni is an assistant professor in the Department of Psychiatric Rehabilitation and Counseling Professions at the Rutgers School of Health Professions. Joni has several years of experience working in behavioral healthcare settings, namely supported employment. Joni teaches courses in the department's undergraduate program, as well as providing training and technical assistance to behavioral healthcare providers. Her research interests include staff training and employment services. She presents nationally on the topic of employment services and is listed as a Society of Human Resource Management recommended speaker on the topic of creating workplaces that support mental health. At this time, I will turn it over to our presenters, and again, welcome everyone.
Thank you so much, Kati. Amy and I are really looking forward to our training today. And we also have a special guest joining us around 1:30, Naomi Leibowitz from Disability Rights New Jersey, the Assistive Technology Center that they have, will be providing an overview of some of the assistive technology tools, as well as some information regarding the Assistive Technology Act. But before we get started, what comes to mind when you hear assistive technology? You can use the chat. Maybe Amy or Kati could read off what's in the chat as it comes through. Or you can unmute your mic. I think we have a nice intimate group. So what comes to mind? Amy, anything in the chat?
We have some stuff coming in, Joni, from Ashley. Screen readers and Live Scribe.
Yeah.
Those are fabulous pieces of AT. And I've worked with them in supporting students for many years. They can make or break someone's success. Yeah.
Absolutely. What else comes to mind when you hear assistive technology? You know, assistive is support, something to support. Kiana, it looks like you. Go ahead, Amy.
Sorry, Julie.
Sorry.
Kiana shares any low or high tech item that helps support students have access to learning.
Okay, so it touches on low or high tech. I love it. You know, low tech are paper-based tools, simple tools like planners or calendars, physical journals, that can help a student with a mental health condition stay organized, manage their schedules. Emily wrote some of the more tech versions, might be the Live Scribe pens, or other types of screen reader apps or technology. Anything else, Amy?
Debbie writes a learning curve.
A learning curve. So that comes to mind. Anything else?
It's a process.
Yes.
It's a there's a period of getting acclimated, right?
Absolutely.
Lizzie, really any device that helps someone to be able to complete necessary tasks.
Yes. Thank you. And then the second question here, are there types of assistive technology that you might use in your personal and professional life that you're comfortable sharing?
From Janessa Kurzweil. Kiana, cell phone every day, 3 exclamation points.
Yes, I'm with you, Kiana. I take pictures of almost everything so that I can have like a visual memory of that. Oh, Emily, that's interesting. E-ink.
E-ink. Text to voice, audiobooks every day.
Audiobooks. You know, I'm in a book club and it's the last, you know, couple of days I realize I have so much more to read and I have to automatically get on audiobooks to finish it up and bump it up like, you know, 3 times the speed to get it in. So that's great examples.
And then Ashley, not necessarily assistive tech, but I enjoy using the read aloud feature when I really need to take in what I'm reading.
Yes, great.
But yeah, that definitely is assistive tech.
So I think we kind of touched on this third question here. How have those assistive technology tools assisted you? But maybe if one of the respondents would like to share how they've specifically assisted you, that would be great.
We have Kiana in the chat noting absolutely that read aloud feature is a key piece of AT.
Yes.
You know, Joni, what comes to mind for me, how these tools have assisted me, I remember, you know, when I was in the field and working with students, I would leverage assistive technology, the talk to text features on my cell phone or dictation software, like Dragon dictation on a computer, to be able to dictate my progress notes. The
Great
act of
example.
just talking my progress notes, it really was helpful. It got me through any like difficulty with trying to verbalize what I was saying. It was just an easier process and a time-saving process to have that talk to text feature.
Absolutely, I agree. Even apps that are even mindfulness apps or relaxation apps are tools that we use, assistive technology type tools to help us manage stress and anxiety. For me, anyway, that related to. I'm also a student in the doctoral program, so related to that role, but also managing stress and anxiety related to work. So great. I just wanted us to kind of, before we got started, to be speaking the same language and kind of understanding that assistive technology is fairly universal, right? It's not just for individuals with disabilities. We use assistive technology every day. And, you know, I think Kiana wrote the 3 exclamation marks on the cell phone. So we're gonna get into, if you could, thank you. We're defining supports and assistive technology and accommodations in post-secondary settings, exploring the types of accommodations and assistive technology that's often used to improve performance. We're also going to, as I mentioned, around 1:30, Naomi Leibowitz from Disability Rights New Jersey is going to come in and talk a little bit and provide a brief demonstration of different assistive technology that we have available. And then finally, we're going to apply these resources. Amy and I had recommended, when you saw on the flyer, that you bring in kind of someone that you might be struggling with, a student who you could use the support of this group here, and we have a service conceptualization activity to walk through. But just, you know, as we sit here on these objectives, just as a reminder, mental health conditions include depression, anxiety, eating disorders, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, individuals who are aged 18 to 24. There's been some new research with the Centers for Disease Control in one of their recent studies in 2020, found that people in this age group, 18 to 24, were affected by a mental health condition at a much higher rate than older individuals, individuals in older age brackets. So this reinforces to me the need for post-secondary settings where we're going to be seeing individuals in this age group needing to respond as providers of supported education or other employment and education services. We need to be equipped to help individuals navigate the post-secondary setting. Next slide.
And, you know, Joni, I just was going to acknowledge too, based on some of the individuals who's registered for the session today. I think we have a nice mix of mental health practitioners working for community public mental health service programs, as well as some representatives from the Office of Disability. So we are coming potentially from different settings. We may have different levels of understanding of assistive tech. So please utilize your experience, leverage your knowledge, especially the ODS folks.
Please.
You might have a wealth of knowledge in terms of assistive technology. So please pull on that today.
Yes, we would appreciate it, and as well as others on the call. So again, we're trying something a little different with this format. We really want to build in that opportunity to provide that kind of service conceptualization and really strategies around assisting individuals that you might be struggling with, or you know, situations that are just kind of you've reached a dead end and maybe you're having a hard time navigating through that. There are different types of supports for college students, and what I'm providing here probably isn't very new information for you. However, it's important to revisit natural support. So those are family, friends, coworkers, people in the student's life that can provide supports for the individual. Maybe those supports are concrete supports, like helping, you know, drive the person to class, or those supports might be emotional supports. And it's a nice recommendation is create a resource binder with the person, help the person identify who these sources of support are. Maybe you could even kind of use these categories, define the role of that particular person and what role that person plays in the individual's or the student's life. And also having discussions around what are some challenges or barriers the person might face accessing these supports. So kind of developing that resource binder, whether it's like a old timey resource, you know, pen and paper resource binder, or it might be an electronic version, whatever it might be, but help the person identify who these supports might be and how they can access the supports, and what are some ways that that person provides support to that individual. So community supports, maybe the library. So if you're helping the person create this support binder or you know, information tool, where are the libraries in their community? What are the hours? What types of supports can the librarian provide? Places of worship, adult education classes. Other types of formal supports might be agencies where you all might be working, or other public or private agencies that support and provide assistance to individuals with disabilities. Accommodations is another type of support that we're going to dig into today, and also assistive technology, our main event for today. Amy, next slide, please. Under Section 504 of the Rehab Act of 1973 and the Americans with Disabilities Act, colleges are required to provide accommodations for students who disclose a disability. You know, there are all types of caveats, and we've provided some resources in our section here for you to kind of really look at some of those really, you know, distinct qualities of Section 504 and Title II of the ADA. But it's important to remember that accommodations can include changes to the application process to allow the person equal opportunity to enter and apply for the program. And some of those modifications might look like, you know, maybe taking a test, like an SAT test, or you know, another placement test in a place that's not filled with distractions. So a person with for example, a person with a mental health condition might take an SAT exam in a quiet room to minimize distractions. That's an example of changes to the application process, potentially. It may also include specialized equipment or changes to the work environment or adjustments to the work schedule or responsibilities. So looking at that. And then finally, they're determined by looking at how the mental health condition impacts or interferes with performing the critical skills needed. So those essential functions in that environment. Again, not all people with disabilities or students or applicants, student applicants with disabilities, or even need the same accommodations. Even people with the same disability may have different accommodation needs. So when you're helping someone consider the accommodations, really help them think through what's unique to them, what can help them specifically. What are accommodations? So it's defined here, modifications or adjustments to the tasks, the environment, or to the way things are usually done to enable individuals with disabilities to have an equal opportunity to participate in an academic program or a job. The Department of Education further describes this as broad categories of accommodations to include changes in the application process to ensure an equal opportunity to apply for program enrollment that enable a student to perform the essential functions of the academic program and to reap the benefits of that particular program. Accommodations are important in creating an inclusive and supportive learning environment. We'll get into the types of accommodations, but yes, Amy, thank you. You can advance. I saw that Naomi entered the call, so thank you, Naomi. We'll be ready in about a few minutes at 1:30. How do we develop accommodations? So first, we want to help the student identify the need, right? So they must be need-based. Does the presence of a mental health condition affect the person's ability to perform in the environment? In what ways? Does the mental health condition cause barriers to that performance? And if so, what are those barriers? So kind of really helping the person think through what those needs might be. Some ways that a student's mental health condition might affect their ability in school include maybe being able to screen out environmental stimuli. So, for example, the student might not be able to block out sounds that interfere with their focus and attention span. Sustaining concentration. So the student may have difficulty maintaining attention or may be easily distracted. Handling time pressures and some of the executive functioning impacts that Amy will talk about a little bit later on. And then identify the essential functions or technical standards. So how might we find out what those essential functions are in an academic environment? What are some ways that you can help a student know what these technical standards or essential functions are in the classroom? Cindy's writing web search, ask the program director. Absolutely. Thank you, Cindy. What are some other ways? Anything in the chat, Amy?
Just from Cindy,
Okay.
I know when I was working with students initially and not having, a robust background in providing support education services, students were asking about, well, could I have an accommodation of not presenting to my class in a history class, right? Could I present privately as an accommodation to the teacher? But I didn't know. I didn't know if that was going to be an acceptable accommodation initially when I first started services. We see some things coming in now. Debbie, the syllabus.
The syllabus, yes. Ashley,
Yeah.
the question was identify, how do we help someone? How do we know what the essential functions or technical standards in the academic world are? And people are saying, talk to the program director, do some research on the web using the syllabus.
Syllabus is key. Back to my example about the history class and giving that oral presentation, that might not be an essential function of the class, right? You'd have to look at the syllabus. But if that same student were to ask me, can I have that accommodation for a public speaking class, right? The essential function of a public speaking class, and it's going to be in the syllabus, is to speak in front of others and get graded on that. Yeah,
Great.
good point,
Thank
Debbie.
you. Yes, thank you. So let's move on. So some examples, and we'll kind of get into this a little bit more specific to assistive technology, but changes in the class schedule, maybe some extra breaks or taking a large break and kind of dividing it into smaller time frames that might work best for the student. Maybe using some white noise or canceling headphones, and having a job coach or an academic coach might be helpful. Someone mentioned the Live Scribe Smart Pen, and someone also mentioned screen readers. So these are just some examples. And you can move on, Amy. When we think about the types of accommodations, we can really think of those as informal or formal. And when I posed the question earlier, what comes to mind when you think about assistive technology and what types of assistive technology might you use in your personal and professional life? Some of those were very informal. You know, I need to prep for the book club, so I have to use the Audible, or you know, my cell phone is something that I have to use every day, or and they may be more informal. But then there are also those formal tools and technology that we can assist students in accessing. And we're going to talk a little bit about, Amy, I guess, did you want to talk a little bit about executive functioning, or do we want to have Naomi pop in and provide her?
Yeah, let's have Naomi talk a little bit about her role at her center and some of the AT that she works with.
Great, thank you. So Naomi, if you are available.
Yes, I am. And I would give you an overview of what our center does. Can I share my screen, or did you put my slides in?
You can share your screen. Amy's sharing hers, and she'll let you share yours. But just to kind of formally introduce, Naomi Leibowitz is an associate with Disability Rights New Jersey in their assistive technology program center, the Richard West Assistive Technology Center, and she's going to provide some information about the Assistive Technology Act, as well as maybe a brief overview of some of the assistive technology tools.
There's so many. Okay, I am going to share my screen, and thank you, Joni and Amy, for having me here today. So excited to be here.
Thank you, Naomi.
Please, I want to make this as informal as possible. So please, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, unmute yourself, and just ask your questions. And let me get my screen up.
And just to remind everyone, when we invited Naomi to speak, she's aware that not everyone on the call is calling in from New Jersey, that we have people outside of our state here. So she's prepared to discuss some more general information and also assist you in finding your ATAC in your area.
Okay, let me. Okay, just give me 1 second. I have to on my screen again. Sorry about that. Okay, can everyone see the screen? Just want to make sure.
It's blank.
Unfortunately, it's black. Yeah, it's just a black screen.
Oh,
It was
That's
on
weird.
earlier, a little bit earlier. You could see your cover slide. Oh, wait a minute, let's see.
No, unfortunately, when you click the file, I can see like the list that you're pulling from to pull up the file. But once you click on it to pull it up, it just goes to a blank screen.
oh, that is. Let me stop. Let me
Naomi,
make a new share.
Naomi, if you want to stop sharing, I'll pull those up for you.
Oh, okay. So weird. Okay.
I think this is just a reminder that technology can sometimes be glitchy.
Yes.
And I think was it Debbie that you said, Debbie, you were like, it's a process. Sometimes we have that learning curve, sometimes there can be issues. And here is one such example. So hopefully we can get it quickly sorted out.
Do you want me to try sharing my screen again? Or
And
are you going to pull it up?
it's proving to not be as easy to pull up as I thought.
And can I begin? Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome. And thank you again for having me speak about the Virtual West Technology Advocacy Center. I'm Naomi Leibowitz, and I'm the AT project lead for the center, which is housed under disability rights. Okay, there is lots and lots of information in these slides. I'm not going to go through it all, but there's apps. Feel free to go through it at your leisure and look at the resources. You could just take a snapshot of the QR code, or you could type in the bit.ly link. It's just really simple to remember. It's bit.ly/ATAC resources. And the A and the R are capitalized. It is case sensitive. So when you're typing in, be sure to type that in. I will give you a few seconds to just take a snapshot of the screen. And if someone could give me, if people are ready for me to proceed, I would go to the next slide. But I'm going to give you a few seconds for the snapshot. Okay, I am going to advance to the next screen. Okay, Mike Milano is the director of the center. That's me, Naomi Leibowitz, and we have Charlotte Borgensen as our intern until next week. And then she goes back to school, and she's been wonderful. She's a wonderful resource. It's a staff of 3, but we are a mighty staff of 3. We are the Richard West Technology Advocacy Center, and we are housed under Disability Rights of New Jersey. We are the implementing agency for the Federal Assistive Technology Act program for New Jersey. There is one in every single. Okay, what? Are you sharing the screen now?
I'm sharing it now just because your screen had a lot of black marks on it.
Okay.
Yes,
I was like,
we couldn't see a lot of the material. So yes, thank you.
okay.
I was trying to do
No.
that discreetly.
No worries. I was like, what's happening? Technology is wonderful. It's wonderful when it works. But like I was saying, there is one in every state and every US territory. So if you're not in the state of New Jersey, no worries, because there is one in your state. If you can just click on that link for me, the AT app program, just so I could bring up the website really quickly, just to show you how to find your state. If you just go down to the drop down arrow, and you could pick a state, any state, pick your favorite state, New York, and it would tell you how to contact them. And you could see what they do. But we all do basically the same thing. So there is one in every state. So if you move and you need assistive technology, this is the first place to look, because they can provide you with information about what you're looking for or help you find it. And we could go back to these slides. Yeah. If you want to go back to these slides, that'd be great. Any questions so far? There is a question in the chat. I just want to see what it is. Oh, that was great. Thank you for putting in the link. Okay, next. Okay, we have 3 services. One is the device demonstration, which is a good place to start, because you may say, I need a device, but I'm not sure what I'm looking for. So you would tell us what you're looking for and what features you need. And we could compare and contrast devices and saying, hey, this looks good because I need it to read to me, but I don't need it for study skills, or I don't need it to outline. So we can compare and contrast features of devices and do a little demo. And then you get to decide, yeah, this might be something worth trying out. My first thing is always go to what you have first before you go out and buy something really expensive. But we can do device demonstrations where we can compare and contrast. And we partner with Advancing Opportunities and Adam Crass, who's located in North Jersey. And Advancing Opportunities is in South. So if you need one, and we do them also, you will contact us and we will compare and contrast features for you. And then we go from there. We learn a little bit about you. It's not an evaluation. It's just looking at 2 different devices, like you'd be looking at 2 different cores and comparing the features of both and seeing what works and what doesn't work for you. There is one thing I want to make clear. There is not one device out there or one app out there that will work for everyone. You may have the same issues, but it's not going to be the same for everyone. So when people ask, what's the perfect app for reading? And my answer is, it just depends on what you're looking for. There is, just like I could ask you, what is the perfect core out there? There is no perfect core, because some people prefer big. I mean, if it was up to me, everyone would be driving a small core. That doesn't work for everyone. So you get to decide, you get to say, this works for me, this doesn't work for me, and this is why it works or it doesn't work. I just want to make clear there's not one thing out there that is going to work. Just because you have a reading disability, read and write is not going to be the perfect device for everyone. You can advance to the next slide, please. Yes, next slide. Okay, after we do the demonstration, we have a device loan program. That is wonderful. It's wonderful for one reason. It's free for anyone in New Jersey to borrow a device and try it out. How many people, and people could just raise their hands, have bought a device, any device, and then they decide it's not right for me? Thank you, Amy. And what happens to it? It sits in your closet.
Mhm.
Or how many people return the device? I would buy things, and I'm guilty of it. I would buy things and never return them and just wasted $500 on something that's, or I give it away to someone and it sits in my closet or I give it away. This is the opportunity to try it before you buy it. They have you just took it. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Expensive paperweight. Yes. Yes, some of them turn into be expensive paperweights. I love it. This gives you the opportunity to try it before you buy it. And as long as you work with someone in New Jersey and you're, say, from Pennsylvania, you still could buy it because you're working with that person in New Jersey. It's a great program.
Excuse me, do all the states have a device loan option?
Yes,
Okay, great. Thank you.
they have, that is one of the 3 core services. I'm not sure if it's free in every state, but it is free in New Jersey. You would go to the website that was shown on the other screen and you would contact them directly and they could give you details on how they do their device loan program. Every state does it a little different because every state is a little bit different in setup. What we do in New Jersey is you could call up, say, I want to try a Live Scribe pen. They will send it out to you with a packing label and then give you a 4 to 6 week trial of it. And once you're done, you would send it back in the package with the packing label, postage paid, and it's free. So there's no cost on the consumer's part at all. It's just sending it out and sending it back. And all you really need to do is take it to the post office and no cost for postage. So I think it's really a good program. And I am going to put the information really quickly in the chat. I think it's on the slides also.
Thank you. Perfect.
But you could contact them, email through the website.
Mm-hmm.
Just a very short application process you have to fill out, and then you're on your way of trialing devices. And they have, if they don't have the device you're looking for call them because they're updating their inventory constantly. And they may not have gotten on the website yet. So give them a call. They are more than helpful. Next slide, please. Okay, and that's just more about our Assistive Technology Learning Center, and that's their email address. Next slide. And this is like one of my favorite programs, the device reutilization program. Next slide, please. There we partner with Goodwill Home Medical. As you see, it's used wheelchairs, it's used crutches, strollers. They have a massive warehouse where people donate their no longer used devices, and what they do is refurbish them, sanitize them, fix them up. Some people even donate new items, and you could get them for a fraction of the cost. Someone donated a $10,000 wheelchair because the person no longer used it, and someone else got it for $500. I mean, I think that is a huge savings, and it's massive. And it's located in South Jersey, Belmore. And if you ever get a chance to go down there because you will be surprised of everything they have. And they also even have adult diapers, lots of stuff that they get back into society that people no longer use. And if you have any stuff that you don't know where to go to, take it to them and they will fix it up and get someone else to use it. Wonderful program. Next slide, please. Just to give you an idea of how many demos, loans, and reuses we do, like in 2022, we did 586 demos, 296 loans, and this is the really impressive number. I always think, and people always question us about this number because it's so huge. We got over 7,000 pieces of equipment out into the community again that people no longer use. And I always think that is really impressive. Next slide, please. And we also do trainings. So if you need just general we don't train on specific technology, but we will give you a training on just general reading and writing supports. We offer some technical assistance. We do public awareness, where we send out where people have questions and we will give them information about whatever they need. We are the resource center where we can just point people in the right direction of what they need. And next slide, please. And we just do a lot of information. Okay. We also just.
Should I stay here, Naomi?
Go back one slide. I just want to see what that one was. Yes, this is real. If you want more information and you like free form things and just discussion-based things, every Monday at 12 p.m. we have AT Town Hall. And the good thing about the AT Town Hall, it's just other professionals like yourself just talking to one another about issues or challenges they having, and people are brainstorming all together to find solutions. It could be on any topic of AT. It could be just on the topic of how do we get more people interested? How do we get people on board with AT services? It's just people coming together and sharing resources and knowledge. It's a really good brainstorming session. And if you're ever available at 12 p.m. on a Monday and you just need a break and you just want to meet some really great professionals in this area, come to the AT Town Hall. I am sure you will learn something.
Naomi, is there a way to connect and give people the information of how to?
Yeah, if you click on that link.
Okay, good. So we'll send that information out to people. Great, thank you.
And all this information is on our website,
yes.
at4newjersey.org.
Great. Okay.
But yeah, everything is a link so people can, if they have the presentation, they can easily click on the link and register.
Thank you. And Naomi, it's about 6 to 2, so I know that you were slated to do about a half an hour. I wondered if you'd have an opportunity to demonstrate any of the assistive technology tools.
I mean, what is it that you would like a demonstration on?
Well, or just maybe an overview of
okay.
Of what types of tools we might have kind of at our fingertips.
Fingertips?
Yes,
okay.
yes. Maybe a little bit of an overview of the ACT, the assistive technology legislation, just touch on that a bit.
The overview is, okay, the ACT is, there needs to be a center in every state. And the way to connect is through that website that I shared. And I think it came about in 1998. So usually it's out of a college. We happen to be connected with this. There's only one other that is connected with disability rights, and that's Washington, D.C. What do you have a specific question about the Assistive Technology Act? I mean,
no, not really. Maybe more about maybe a little overview of what we might have at our fingertips and what types of. Should I?
Yeah, advance the slides.
Great.
And advance keep talk. And one more time.
Perfect.
Honestly, if you want to play this video, it's only 30 seconds because it's not always about the stuff.
Yes.
Just click on it, it should play.
Okay, let's see. Oops.
Okay, it just froze up.
Yeah, I don't know why.
That's okay. I would give you an overview. It's not always about the stuff. Okay, the granddaughter gave her grandfather an iPad. And he didn't know what it was. So he's using it for a chopping board. And the point is, it's like, don't just give someone a piece of technology. Explain to them what it's used for. We always want to give people more stuff, but we missing a key ingredient in how to use it, how to implement it. It's not always about the stuff. It's more about the services that go along with the stuff. It's about the training. It's about the selection. We just want to give people stuff. Keep going. And I will give you, yeah, tools are good, strategies are better. Key point to remember, keep going. That's just the set framework. Next slide. Okay. And one more slide. One more slide. Okay. Every device you have, and it's very easy to find it. If you go into your settings under accessibility, you have a lot of things you need already. Almost every device has text to speech. You could turn it on. They have screen readers. They have voice recognitions, on-screen keyboards, scanning for all access. Every device has it. Use what you have until it no longer fits. My one recommendation is, if you want to play with the magnifications and the text to speech, turn on one feature at a time. Don't turn everything on all at once, because if you turn everything on all at once, it will drive you crazy and you won't be able to get it off. But use what you have. Explore your built-in accessibility features. And then, just to get the word out, because people don't realize what they have at their fingertips, show it to one other person. I just learned how to use captions, and show it to another person and spread the word. There's a couple videos on how to use it. Like I said, there's tons and tons of resources. There's videos on how to use it in this presentation. Does anyone have questions, or do they want to see something specific?
Anything specific that Naomi can demonstrate while she's here?
Please feel free to reach out to me, and we can do a more extensive presentation on tools that are built in to the system if anyone wants to do that.
Thank you, Naomi. Would that option be available if some of the individuals here on the call today wanted to invite students in and
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. Thank you. Maybe you could pop your email in the chat. While I think, Amy, do you want me to bring up the presentation, or do you want to I'll stop share and then Naomi can.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thank you. I'll pull the slides up, Joni.
Great.
Thank you, Naomi. That was a
Yes.
fabulous overview of what your center does. The resources sound absolutely phenomenal, and it's something that we can utilize in our work with students. That's a big issue, the cost of things, as well as, Naomi brought to our attention the need to have a period of trial. We see that 50% of individuals that attempt to use an assistive technology tool will disconnect from it. They will not continue utilizing it because it's not well suited for them. Having that trial period, whoa, oh my goodness.
Yes.
That is a great approach.
And Kiana had a question before you leave. Does the office conduct only student presentations, or are they open to other providers?
They open to anyone. We don't do specific trainings on any one software. We would do an overview of reading and writing softwares, overviews of note-taking softwares. We are not if you're looking for a specific, I'm using this as an example. I am not endorsing it. Let's say you're using read and write. We will not do extensive training on read and write. We would say read and write isn't available and Kurzweil isn't available. You know, just a general overview of all support, but nothing like if you need individual trainings on a specific software, we don't do that.
Well, thank you so much, Naomi, and we appreciate you hopping on, and thank you again, and hopefully we can reach out if we have additional questions.
Yes, yes. Feel free to reach out anytime. Just
Great.
one other thing I want to share. I'm going to put in the chat because we do have a YouTube channel with tons and tons of trainings that people
Great.
may find interesting.
Perfect. Perfect. We
Okay.
can add those to our repository of useful resources. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
So thinking about college students, right? Getting back to our aim in supporting college students, we see that college students with mental health conditions may have some executive functioning needs, some skill areas that need to be bolstered. And this is pretty universal, regardless, you know, it's kind of like transdiagnostic, if you will. We see these things across varying mental health conditions. And executive functioning skills, again, are the cognitive building blocks that are the underpinning of a student's ability to manage the complexities of college life successfully. Think about what you did this morning to get to work. You can put it in the chat. What did you have to do to get to work today? Maybe you had to make yourself breakfast. Maybe you had to get your kids to daycare. Think of all the things that you needed to do to get to work today so you could be present and do your job. Go ahead and, if you will, if you're feeling up to it, put it in the chat. Developing and honing executive functioning skills is crucial for academic achievement, personal growth, and the ability to ultimately thrive in the college environment. College students who possess strong executive functioning skills will be better equipped to be able to succeed academically as well as their daily lives. Executive functioning skills are used universally in all of our life domains. And again, mental health conditions have a significant impact on executive functioning. This includes things like task management, focus, impulse control, complex cognitive steps, breaking down syllabus to see what assignment is due when and how to do a larger assignment in smaller, manageable chunks. Conditions such as anxiety, depression, other mental health conditions that Joni talked about earlier, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, directly affect skills like planning, organizing, initiating tasks. And these are those executive functioning skills. They're controlled by this frontal lobe of our brain. Mm-hmm. And we see that, individuals who have mental health conditions, the symptoms themselves will affect executive functioning skills and that cognition, as well as the medications that folks are taking, right? The treatment for some mental health conditions, especially the psychiatric medications, I cannot speak right now. They can further deteriorate those cognitive functions. So it's important to really get an understanding of the students that you're working with, because some of the specific accommodations that you're coming up with, some of the assistive technology that you're going to be coming up with is going to target these executive functions. So I see in the chat, Joni, organizing your schedule and getting Zoom links together. Yeah. Point being, whatever you did today to get ready, you were using your executive functioning skills. You were relying on these complex cognitive skills to be present, and students are doing the same. Thinking about the work from Thomas Brown, he is a clinical psychologist, and his whole life's work is focused on executive functioning. He looks at 6 domains of executive functioning. One is activation, ability to begin a task and to act independently. Think about how a student needs to engage in activation. That might look like creating structured routines, schedules, breaking tasks into smaller chunks. The other domains include focus, and that might look like the ability to concentrate, to maintain attention. For school and for students with mental health conditions, this might look like minimizing distractions, implementing time management techniques like the Pomodoro method, Effort is another domain. Effort is the ability to exert energy and persist. And this might look like for students being able to set goals and being able to establish a sense of purpose and continued motivation. School is time intensive, and our efforts might have difficulty persisting if we have those executive functioning skills. We also see the other domain is emotion. The emotional regulation is an executive functioning skill. And so individuals who have mental health conditions can experience that emotional dysregulation. There's also memory. That's the ability to retain and retrieve information. And students, again, with mental health conditions may have difficulty with memorization, especially remembering to remember. When did I have that test, right? When is that assignment coming due? And then there's action, that last sixth domain. And this refers to the ability to plan and execute tasks efficiently. And so this might be breaking down tasks, prioritizing tasks, etc. And so when we're thinking about assistive technology, specifically in accommodations, we might want to target these areas. Assistive technology is really an underutilized, right? The formal and informal portion of the accommodations for a student. There are many AT options, assistive technology options, but like Naomi had stated, there needs to be a thorough process to identify the best match. Again, 50% of all assistive technology is abandoned. And what the primary barriers might be include user preferences or the environment. The environment wasn't considered. And so the best approach is to have that user, right, that student, be able to try the device out, to try that particular piece of assistive technology, and see if it is meeting their needs and it's fitting into the environment. And so thinking about that process, especially for formal assistive technology, formal being it is in an accommodation. You're going to want to support the student in the process of getting that formal accommodation through registering with the Office of Disability Services, right? This is especially for our mental health folks, our practitioners in public mental health service sector, right? That process of getting the formal accommodation of assistive technology, for example, a recording device in a lecture hall. That piece of technology can be assistive in addressing some of those cognitive functional implications or executive functioning skill areas of need, right? Helping that student to be able to have a recording of the lecture to refer back to is utilizing assistive technology within a formal accommodation, and it needs approval through the Office of Disability Services. And so you have to go through that formalized process of getting in place. You can't just start recording your lectures. So I think Naomi did a very good job of kind of giving us that definition of assistive technology and what that looks like and the areas that individuals could ultimately be supported, right? When we think about assistive technology, there's lots of research about assistive technology for people with a wide array of disabilities. Unfortunately, there's very limited research on assistive technology for individuals with mental health conditions. A lot of what we pull in doing our work primarily is coming from either the ADHD community or other disabilities that may have, again, some of those executive functioning components. So almost none of the research, or very little, is focused on psychiatric conditions or psychiatric disabilities. And we have to kind of piece together what is best suited for individuals and in this category of students with mental health conditions. That's not to say, though, that students can't have overlapping multiple comorbidity in terms of diagnoses, health conditions, and the presence of multiple disabilities. And so thinking of that, you can see students needing some of these additional pieces of assistive technology, including things like mobility and transportation aids, which Naomi had pointed out is quite available, accessible, if you will, within their health. I think it was like Goodwill Health Services. I can't remember the website, but there are pieces of those mobility aids available at really good prices. That's a great resource. Those can be so cost prohibitive. Additionally, there are things like seating and position aids. I saw that in one of her photos as well. These aids provide support, customized seating, positioning for individuals with mobility or postural challenges. There's vision and reading aids that assist individuals with visual impairments, and that can help them in accessing printed or digital material. And these can include screen readers, magnifiers, braille displays, things of that nature. There's also communication aids, and these assist individuals with speech or language impairments, as well as some of those cognitive skill needs, right, in expressing themselves. These aids can encompass your auxiliary aids as well. And so thinking about auxiliary aids, this is, in my personal experience and what we see in some of the literature, where we pull heavily from for individuals with mental health conditions, right? Auxiliary is an adjective, describes something that is providing that additional support. It can also be used to reference communication tools or assistance with someone with a sensory disability. And we see a lot of the talk-to-text software features here, screen readers, smart pens like the Live Scribe, recording devices, dictation apps, even dictation recorders. Thinking about you know, the availability of these aids on campuses. There have been, you know, as we've noted, a lot of technological advances in electronics, right? That's improved vastly in the past decade, even the past 5 years, right? So students with any type of disability needing some of these auxiliary aids may have a whole host of options to choose from. Unfortunately, colleges are not required to provide the most sophisticated, up-to-date auxiliary aids available. The aids must, however, be effective, and they need to be supportive of that student's functional implications of their health condition. So the Institute itself has flexibility in choosing the specific aids they'll have for students, for the services it provides to the students, as long as the aid or service that is selected is effective, efficient, and providing support. And how do we determine that? It's in revisiting with a student, right? What their experiences was like using the tool, but more importantly, and I think this again, Debbie, I keep going back to your point, it's important for students to have proper acclimation to the tool, to the assistive technology. How do you use it effectively? There is a learning curve. How do we provide that ongoing support if it's not coming from us? Who then is a student getting assistance from in learning how to use that assistive technology effectively? I have acclimated many students to using Live Scribes, learning how to use a pen, how to get it situated with the notebook, how to save, you know, their lectures onto their laptops, those recordings onto their laptops. That process doesn't happen in a single use, right? There is a long process in getting acclimated. And if we don't provide the support or have supports in place, remember Joni had spoken earlier about those layers of support. And Naomi spoke too about layers of support. It's not about the tool, it's about the strategy. And so how are we getting people the proper supports in place to make that piece of technology work for the student? If we're not addressing that strategy, if we're not layering the supports, it's very much like the video that Naomi was going to share with us, where that person was kind of chopping up their vegetables on a very expensive iPad. So keep in mind, yes, we have to look at what is available, what they have access to, what is cost effective, what the school has available, and how are we developing a plan to assist the student. So thinking about assistive technology available for students with mental health conditions, and I think this was Kiana who had mentioned there's low-tech and high-tech solutions, and they could be tailored to the students' needs. So low-tech solutions are paper-based tools, such as your old school planner, your calendar, right? A journal that can help students to stay organized, manage schedules and their tasks effectively. Another low-tech could be stress balls, fidget tools, tactile aids that can provide comfort, reduce anxiety, or restlessness during a lecture. And again, thinking about our earlier comment, these paper-based tools, these stress balls, fidget toys, those are informal, right? You don't need to have a letter of accommodations from the Office of Disability, most likely, to have access to these things, right? High-tech solutions could include things like applications for the phone, mobile apps, software. It can look like digital note-taking software, task management apps on the phone. I mentioned text-to-speech or speech-to-text software, right? Those are both available. I utilized my self-Dragon dictation, which was fabulous. And thinking about assistive technology for students with mental health conditions, I did find one scoping review, which they looked at all of the literature in existence for college students with mental health conditions and assistive technology. And they found some of the most common pieces of assistive technology included speech recognition, computer input devices, assistive keyboards, interestingly enough, blogs for alternative participation. So in lieu of writing a paper or doing a particular piece of an assignment, these students were given blogs to demonstrate the competencies, meet those technical standards that Joni was talking about. There's also in this article noting internet access with different educational platforms compared to paper-based submissions of assignments. Cell phones were frequently reviewed in the 7 articles that are in existence of students with mental health conditions and assistive tech. And this was not just limited to cell phones, but also tablets as functional aids for cognitive support. There was also multiple media formats to enhance decoding of materials like voice recognition, text-to-speech, text outlines, support text readers with captions. The researchers also identified that there was a lot of assistive technology for note-taking that was utilized by students with mental health conditions. And that includes smart pens that synchronize the audio lecture to recordings, to written notes, digital recorders, software or mobile applications for note-taking, audio readings, modified displays of assistive technology for writing that addresses spelling, grammar, language production, mind mapping, proofreading, etc. And thinking about population that we're serving, and I think depending on what role you have, where you're coming from, whether it's ODS or it's the mental health service system, you might be working with a very different population. You might be seeing in the college domain a lot of traditional age students, maybe some non-traditional students. And I know in the mental health service sector, especially in the state of New Jersey and the supported education programs, you might be seeing a lot of non-traditional students that may have been embedded in the public mental health service system for quite some time. And so thinking about that, you also have to kind of think about, do students have access to some of this basic resource for AT, including smartphones? And seeing some of the literature, we see that for folks, right, that are embedded in the public mental health service sector, access to smartphones is a big issue, right? So those folks might be precluded from utilizing some of these apps, some of these unique features of AT for students with mental health conditions, right? If they don't have access to those smartphones. In fact, looking at a recent survey, approximately 54% of individuals embedded in the public mental health service system had access to smartphones compared to 74% of the general population, right? So they're at a 20% decrease, if you will. And that is another challenge. We can utilize things potentially like DVR to pay for those Division of Vocational Rehabilitation Services to pay for the access to a smartphone for those students. So thinking about assistive technology, it's important that we also consider what are the assistive technology pieces for executive functioning. I noted that one of the biggest barriers for students with mental health conditions is that cognitive executive functioning skill need. And so what are the things that we can do to bolster these domains? That would include things like activation, right? So what do we do to help students initiate tasks? This could be task reminder apps. These apps help students set reminders and alarms for important tasks and appointments. And examples include, your Google Calendar, Apple Reminders, Todoists. Time management apps, apps like Trello and Asana can assist students in organizing tasks, setting deadlines, managing their time more effectively. Digital to-do lists like Microsoft To Do, AnyDo, right? That will allow students to create and manage to-do lists and have that organized in a centralized location. Those are high-tech options for your students that may not have access to those cell phones. Low-tech options would be sticky notes, to-do lists, a journal, something of that manner. For focus, right, looking at those, again, those really important executive functioning domains that we identified from Dr. Brown, we see for focus, we want distraction blocking apps. And this is software like Freedom or Cold Turkey that can block distracting websites and apps when that student wants to study. I don't know how many of you may doom scroll or endless scroll on TikTok or other social media, right? You can use and support your students in using these distraction blocking apps to support focus. Noise canceling headphones are an option, right? High quality noise canceling headphones can help students to create a focused environment. Things like mindfulness apps or meditation apps like Calm and Headspace can assist students in practicing mindfulness and reducing stress, which can improve focus. In the domain of effort, we have speech to text software, which I love, like Dragon, as well as Google's speech to text feature that can help students transcribe spoken thought into written word. This was one of my go-to methods in working with individuals that had difficulties with their symptoms. I'm thinking a lot of the students that I worked with who had schizophrenia had challenges with writing papers, and taking out that feature of typing and doing the talk to text was so very assistive in helping them to get their work done. The domain of emotion, a lot of apps for that on the phone, mood tracking apps like MoodPath, Dailyo, enable students to monitor their emotional well-being and identify patterns that trigger areas of concern. Low-tech options would be like journaling, traditional journaling to help students express and manage emotions in low-tech ways. The domain of memory, students can access note-taking apps with voice recording. Like Notability, Evernote allows students to record audio while taking notes, which helps with that memory retention. Also digital flashcards, like Quizlet, that can help students to create efficient memorization plans and assistance using those flashcards. Low-tech options would be the good old cue cards, note cards, as well as sticky notes, planners, and lastly, the domain of action. How do we support the executive function of action? This might look like task management apps like Wunderlist and Microsoft Planner to help students break down complex tasks into smaller, more manageable steps, as well as goal tracking. There's platforms like Habitica and Strides that assist students in setting and tracking progress towards their goal. So this was a very quick overview of AT specifically that students with mental health conditions experiencing those executive functioning concerns could go over and leverage and utilize. Unfortunately, I do believe that we are at a point of our session where we're just about done, and we did not have the opportunity to go over our putting it together service conceptualization. I'm wondering, Joni, would it be assistive to pull up the service conceptualization form?
Yes.
And we can go over that a little bit. And that way, individuals could begin to think about people that they're working with and reach out to us for some support and assistance in conceptualizing AT for the students they work with.
So here's the form. I don't know why Here's the form that Amy has created to use for kind of service conceptualization, and it goes through psychosocial information, the person's current goal. Really key section here is what strengths are associated with the goal, what some barriers might be, maybe some different types of assessments that were previously conducted, interventions that were previously used, and what was the associated impact. And then brainstorming some intentional interventions, matching the intervention to the barrier. A nice kind of visual here to look at kind of what the barrier is, what intervention, the person responsible, maybe pulling on some of those resources, and then coordination and linkage, and then some opportunities for update and follow-up. So we will send this along, as well as the PowerPoint presentation. And this is also a nice opportunity to spend some time with your team, maybe use it as a team activity where you might be talking with some members of your team regarding some challenges or barriers, and kind of coming up with some of these discussion points to help talk through that service, the supported employment or supported ed service or other services with the individual. So we will send that along as well. And we appreciate your time today, and Naomi for hopping on. And please give us a call. Just to put a plug in, on September 28th, Amy and I will be back with a managing personal information and post-secondary education, where we will be talking about how to support students in some of the disclosure decision-making, managing personal information, how to go about making requests of professors and others, and how to kind of support them in their decision-making process. So Kati, I don't know if you're on the call, if there's anything you need to, if you wanted to bring up the QR
Yes,
code.
hi. If you could, so since we're in the interest of time, I will share the link to the evaluation survey. Everyone, please take a moment to complete the short evaluation survey. I have included the link in the chat. And again, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. As mentioned before, all of the documents and resources that were shared today, including links, they will be shared to you all, including the link to the recording, the presenter slides, the evaluation, and any resources. They will be emailed within 7 days of this webinar broadcast.
Thank you, everyone. Amy put our email addresses in the chat, so please get in touch with us if you have some additional questions and would like to follow up.
Thank you all for joining, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. Be well.